Hey guys, today is Monday the 6th of August 2018. I'm Keith War and welcome to another episode of Homeless in Titusville. And today I am at the place that Titusville is known for, the Kennedy Space Center. Over here, this is where the tourists come and pay either, I don't know if it's like $75, $80 a person or something like that to come out here at the Kennedy Space Center. And let me tell you, if you are bringing the kids here and they are little guys, and let's say your kids are more into Disney characters and riding rides and stuff like that, you are going to want to spend your money on Disney. You are not going to want to spend your money here at the Kennedy Space Center. There is really, it has interesting stuff if you want to know about space knowledge. And I think they have like one little IMAX movie thing or something like that, but really it's not something that little kids would enjoy. This is something that maybe somebody age 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old would enjoy hearing about space and things like that. You get to go on this bus and you get to go on this ride through the Space Center, but you're not really allowed to get out and walk around, so to speak. Like, if you think you're going to walk on pad, one of the pads where the space shuttle used to take off and now SpaceX takes off from, that's not going to happen. Those things are very tightly controlled. Like I said, this is the visitor complex here. You can see they have the gates down there. That's pretty much very controlled access. You can't go down, you just can't drive down there. Anyway, and there again, like I said, for the money, I think the kids are going to be a little disappointed. Maybe even some of the adults. Like I said, very expensive. It's an interesting place, but anyway, I'm knocking it a little bit, primarily for the price, because it's so expensive. But anyway, I just wanted you guys to know that this video here was pretty much being done for a guy named Demon Rat. Demon Rat had asked for a video about Titusville. He said, what is Titusville like? I would like to take a little tour and so on. Here is some signs here in Titusville for Orlando. We are right at the coast. Right now, the Kennedy Space Center is on what's called Merritt Island, and Merritt Island is a wildlife refuge, at least the part that I'm on. And then further south, the other part of Merritt Island is an Air Force station. So I will try to show you guys what's known as the Vehicle Assembly Building, and that's where they used to put the space shuttle together, and it would be kind of straight up and down, just like it would when they launch it. They're able to take it and lift it and then hook up those big booster rockets to it and whatnot to take it out into space. And from my home, I can see across the river, I can see the Kennedy Space Center. So, and we do have quite a few launches here. It used to be that maybe there were, 2 or 3 a year. Now it seems like launches are happening every 6 to 8 weeks. There's something going up. There's some kind of rocket, SpaceX, the military, satellites, direct TV, all those things. If you guys have satellite TV, the reason you're able to get a signal and so on is because most likely your satellite providers, their instruments and whatnot to bring you your shows were launched from right here on the Space Coast, as everyone knows this to be. Pretty much the economy here in Titusville very much fell apart in like 2008, 2009 when the shuttle program had shut down. A lot of people lost their jobs, and it's just really, really devastating. We had one of the highest concentrations of foreclosures for our zip code, in the United States in 2008, when, of course, the housing crisis and everybody lost their jobs out at the Space Center. Pretty much, if you don't work at the Space Center or another place that we will possibly go by, a place called Knight's Armament. And Knight's Armament is this guy named Mr. Knight, and he started it, and they build guns and things like that, which, you know, hey, if you're into that, some people are into that. I'm a veteran. I was in the Navy. I myself find myself pretty much anti-gun. I know that's not very popular, especially among veterans. I think the world would be a better place had we never invented guns for any reason whatsoever. Anyway, off that tangent and on to let you see the vertical assembly building there through the back of my truck, and you could see that's where I was telling you about that they assembled the space shuttle. So we're going across this bridge here, and you notice that there's nothing really here except for just this little causeway and open water. And like I said, there again, that's because this is a wildlife refuge. Sometimes you'll see an alligator or things like that trying to cross here, and you know, this is where they're supposed to be. This is where they're, you know, free to do those kinds of things. And rather than people calling the police and having them removed, it is the people who have to wait for the alligators to cross, you know, because this is their home. And you can see off in the distance, you can see a bridge. There's a bridge there, and that is further down, like that's pretty much downtown Titusville. And we are going across this little bridge. I'm trying to bring you guys a decent video, a steady video. I'm trying to use a monopod, but it's a little bit tough. Anyways, as you can see, it looks kind of rural around here, and this bridge here that I'm going across here at the top of it, they do open and close it for boats that are a little tall so they can get their mast through. And we are almost off of Kennedy Space Center property. I think maybe once we get past this, we're off the property. And let's see, it seems we have a little bit of radar being run down here, so we will move off the side of the road. For those who want to speed a little bit, you're welcome to it, but I'm not going to. Anyways, things are quite hard here in Titusville as far as finding a job that pays a living wage. Knight's Armament, from what I understand, most people make an average of about $14.50 an hour, maybe $15. That's decent, but there was a study done that came out in I think it was around July of 2017, and it said here in Central Florida, in the Orlando area, a living wage was considered to be $16.78, and that's for a single person to live. So $16.78. Those jobs are really not out here. If you want to make that kind of money, you have to do something either illegal or come up with your own idea, I guess, for some kind of a job. Open up a business, a sandwich shop, I don't know, because I really haven't heard of jobs paying those kinds of wages. Most jobs here are minimum wage. We have a Cracker Barrel, we have tons of McDonald's, we have Taco Bells, KFCs. Look, those jobs are needed, but can you support a family on them? Who can support a family on that? Nobody. Anyway, so here you'll see we have a war Bird Museum, Air Museum, and we also have Police Hall of Fame. And the Police Hall of Fame was close to the Space Center, was a little further off the road. It's a little difficult to get over there from where I'm at right now because of the traffic pattern and so on. This is just making it a little easier for me to kind of give you guys a little abbreviated tour type thing. Here's a place called the Enchanted Forest and Sanctuary. I like to go there sometimes, take pictures of butterflies and so on and so forth, birds and whatnot. Here's the Knight's Armament that I was telling you about. This guy, Mr. Knight, just recently had a tank delivered. He has got a ton of hardware back there on his property. He's got large guns, automatic, semi-automatic, tanks, you name it, he's got it. He spends a lot of his hard-earned money on that stuff. He's a collector, plus he's a builder, like I said. Anyway, and then you can see as we're going along here, we have a National Guard Armory here in Titusville. And there's a little housing development back there. And you see signs, our street signs, but it's kind of rural on this part. This is South Titusville. There's not much around here. There are some houses coming up here. Mostly, you know, we've had some people who have had quite a bit of money live in this neighborhood up here called Windover Farms, or not Windover Farms, just called Windover. We had a couple of WWE superstars. We had Hacksaw Jim Duggan years ago. He lived down in here somewhere, and I know for sure Bill DeMott lived down there. Now, Bill DeMott was General Erection in WCW. Then he was on the show Tough Enough. Bill actually was my neighbor. I mean, like, literally, one day my cat got out and I knocked on his door because his girlfriend was out walking the dog, and asked him if he knew, you know, possibly where my cat was. But anyway, so what attracted some of the WWE guys to live here, I don't know. But Hacksaw Jim Duggan used to have some very interesting guys come to his house. He had Bret Hart, The Undertaker, Ric Flair, a lot of the good, well-known wrestlers, the upper echelon guys, would come through and stay a night or two at Hacksaw's place, especially, you know, if they were doing a show, say Monday Night Raw or something in Orlando, and it was just easier to drive over here. So let's see, we have an Elks Lodge. We have a lot of pretty common stuff here, like a lot of, you know, people, a lot of neighborhoods and whatnot, you know, Kiwanis clubs and so on, Lions and whatnot. And there's where our Target is. And then, of course, the Walmart is Titusville's crown jewel. It is just behind these woods, just a matter of feet. And I'm going to take you guys down this road to see something really interesting. There is this sign back here where these Windover Indians were found, or something. I'm not really sure exactly what they end up calling these Indians here. And like I said, there's the Walmart. But the Indians were on Discovery Channel, History Channel, and some other things because they were such an important find. I guess they had determined that these Indians lived just down this road here by I-95 is where they pretty much lived. They had their everyday life about 5,000 years ago. And where we're going now is a place where they found their burial grounds. Found some really interesting things. You know, we live in the type of society we do, European culture, where people believe that they can purchase the ground underneath their feet and live on it and build on it and so on and so forth, whereas the Indians' philosophy was more of we belong to the earth instead of the earth belongs to us. So I don't know how you see it. Go ahead there, guy. You got the green arrow. So anyways, very interesting. These Indians here, there's just pretty much a little plaque down here. It's a there's really nothing to see, like I said, other than this plaque declaring that these Indians had existed back here. Other than that, there's no mounds to see currently. There's no, there's no site. It's just a bunch of woods, and really the sign is kind of misleading, because the sign is back here and it's telling you about it, but it doesn't tell you exactly where they were found. Now, I did see right back here in these woods, there was a little path cut in. They don't want you going. So here's the sign here. It's called Wendover Archaeological Site, and that's what I was telling you about in 1982 when they found this site, these Indians. Very interesting stuff. And we're going to go around the way here, take you, and I will show you a place here in Titusville where I have found quite a few of the people that I've interviewed. There's a lot of people that hang out up here. There's an old abandoned truck stop and whatnot that a lot of the homeless squat on the property, because they have nowhere else to really go. We don't have any. See, we have some buildings like this, a little bit of graffiti on them, just like anywhere else in America. And that field back there is where a lot of the homeless are. They'll hang around down in there. And this is one of the main roads. This is called Highway 50, also known as Cheney Highway. And there is I-95. If you want to go to Orlando, say you want to go to Disney, you have to take this road right here and follow it down about 45 miles or so of, it's not horrible stop and go. There is no real, well, I guess there's a little freeway system. You could take what's known as 528 if you go head south on I-95 a little bit. But anyway, here's one of the main intersections here. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if you like his humor. He's kind of a little bit of a smartass. Is a guy named Daniel Tosh. Daniel Tosh is from Titusville, Florida, and so is a football player, a guy named Chris Collinsworth. And Chris, he does the commentating on Monday Night Football quite a bit. He's from Titusville also. I can't really think of too many other important people that are nationally known, people that you guys would know about that are from Titusville. It's a pretty small area. Supposedly how the town got its name was a guy by the name of Titus played a game of chess or maybe even checkers to decide if the city was going to take after his name or his opponent's. And there again, like I said, we have the Walmart, the crown jewel of Titusville. Nothing else really to do here. There is not much here as far as for kids. We had a skating rink at one time, I guess. I don't know. It wasn't here whenever I was ever here. I've been here since 2002. The place has caught fire a couple of times. I am originally from Cleveland, Ohio myself. I grew up on the east side, and I'm from a neighborhood called Collinwood. And there were a couple different movies made about Collinwood. One movie was called Welcome to Collinwood, and that starred George Clooney. It was kind of a flop, wasn't a very good movie or whatever. And then also there was a gangster named Danny Green from Titusville who was a pretty well-known gangster that went back and forth between New York, Chicago, Cleveland, and he was blown up there in Lyndhurst or Mayfield. Anyway, my wife and I did make our home there for a little while on the east side of Cleveland on East 175th Street off of St. Clair. For a little while, we bought my grandparents' house and we lived there for about 4 years, and until we, like I said, moved to Titusville. I met my wife when I was in the Navy and I was stationed in Kings Bay, Georgia. I was on a ship called the USS Canopus, AS-34, and she was the manager of the local movie theater. She got her start at the movie theater here in Titusville, and she was assistant manager here in Titusville, and then they gave her own store in Kings Bay, Georgia. It was like a 10 theater building or whatever. Anyways, so that's how I met her. She used to sell discounted tickets to Morale, Welfare, and Rec on the base, and us sailors used to go to the movie theater. Well, then, of course, after my wife and I got together, the guys on my ship used to be able to go to the movies for free. She would give them complimentary tickets, super savers, and whatnot. Really good thing, the movie theater still made its money because, concessions are where movie theaters really make their money, selling the popcorn and the drinks. That's why they're, $100 a piece. But anyway, here's the vet in town, and as you can see, we have a lot of these little mini-mart gas stations owned by a lot of Indian immigrants, which is very common across America. And we have Dollar Generals, so you know that you are in a real swanky part of town when you have dollar stores competing for your dollar, next to each other, right? You will not find any Gucci here. I guarantee that. So we go around, and this here, like I said, Highway 50. There's a little transformer station for electricity. We got quite a few tattoo shops. And over here, boy, is this a real sore subject for people here in Titusville. That is our Kmart, or was our Kmart. And that Kmart has been closed for, 14 years, 15 years. And there's a little place around it. And there again, like I said, here is another dollar store, Dollar Tree. And of course, pawn shops. We've got pawn shops everywhere. That's another way you can tell you're in a good part of town, is when you got dollar stores and pawn shops right next to each other. That's a really good sign. That says thriving community all over it. Anyway, I don't want people to think that I'm beating up on this town. I'm not. I really am not. The people here in this town are great. There's a lot of people who have helped me quite a bit with giving some things to the homeless and getting some people off the street and helping some families and whatnot. But this is not a place if you want to, find the American dream. No white picket fences here unless it's surrounding a mobile home park, as you can see. We still have a lot of buildings around that are missing shingles everywhere from all the hurricanes. Titusville is known as Central Florida. We're just crossing a road called Hopkins now, and we're coming up to the intersection of US 1, and we have a Circle K, a Cumberland Farms, a Walgreens, and then you can see across the river here is behind those trees there is the Vertical Assembly Building for the Kennedy Space Center. I'll try to zoom in and show you behind the tree. kind of bring that into focus, you can see the Space Center. And that is the vertical assembly building there. And I'll zoom this out so I can drive here in a second. And like I said, US 1 is a main road. I'm not sure if US 1 is also known as A1A or it turns into A1A. If you guys remember the old rapper Vanilla Ice, his song, he mentioned A1A, Beachfront Avenue. Anyway, I know I'm 44 years old myself. I was born in January 74, so that's kind of my perspective how and where I see the world, you know, through that lens of being born in that time. And like I said, I grew up primarily in Cleveland, a little bit in a place called Madison, Ohio, in Lake County, and then Cuyahoga County, of course, where Cleveland is. Anyways, you see the signs here. Jacksonville's 135 miles. New Smyrna Beach is 35. This little chunk of woods right here, I've interviewed a few homeless. Our city fathers have just spent, I don't know how many tens of thousands of dollars ripping this park up and redoing it. I don't know why, because if you guys can see there in the distance, all that wood poking up there, that's where people primarily went fishing and whatnot. That was the more popular park. So, and then we have the SPCA thrift store, raising money for cats and dogs and other animals. Good people, good place. A little locally famous place, Dogs R Us. And as you can see all that destruction. That park has been closed since the hurricanes. And there's another park where a lot of the homeless hang out. And of course there's the McDonald's also that I take quite a few of them to get something to eat before we do the interview. Kind of where I do my little pre-interview thing. And here's a little better view of the Kennedy Space Center. If you guys can see this as we drive past. And there is a cheap motel where a lot of people live by the week or whatever. If they can't afford anything better. We have quite a bit of construction going on right now here in Titusville. And here's our decrepit mall falling apart. And as you can see, we have some nice places here on the waterfront some people live in. And then we have an apartment right across the street, the other side, that much different incomes. Probably separate the people by as much as $150,000 a year. One may make, $35,000, $40,000. The other one's making $180,000 to $250,000. This right here, called Titusville Towers, that's where a lot of Section 8 people were living for Section 8. That place got condemned after the hurricane, and a lot of people became homeless. And then we have over here what's called Titus Landing, place where they tried to build some stuff up and invested quite a bit of money. And it seems, and also the other thing that I find very strange here in Florida in general. Okay, so being in Cleveland, we have the Cleveland Clinic. And my son, I have a son that's disabled, and we would take him to the doctor, and we were able to get in to see a specialist within about, 10 to 14 days. And then we moved here to Titusville, and we were told, it's going to be 6 to 8 months before you can see a specialist, even if you have insurance, right? And you're thinking to yourself, wait a minute now. Now I grew up north. I'm used to hearing people in Ohio, New York, Michigan, Indiana, all those northern states say, when I get older and I retire, I'm moving to Florida. Okay, and so when you look at the average age of somebody in Florida, it's much higher than, say, in Ohio or Michigan or Iowa or whatever, because we have so many retirees here. So if there's so many retirees and so many elderly people, why isn't there like a doctor on every corner? You would really think that would be the case, but it's not. Kind of baffling. Go figure. Anyway, so we have, I don't know if we passed the high school yet. I think so. Titusville High School. Yeah, we just passed it. And as you can see, like I said, it's a little town. It's a small town. You know, if you're a retiree, this is a great place for you. There's the Grove Church, a very popular church here in Titusville. A lot of people go to the Grove. Good people there, from what I understand. Here's another business. Like I said, we have tons of tattoo parlors here. Like I said, that's how you know you're in a good part of the world, is when you've got dollar stores, ABC Liquor, and the tattoo shops, you know, within walking distance of each other. Nothing screams high class like dollar stores and pawn shops. Hey, come get a tattoo. But anyway, I mean, look, those businesses are feeding somebody's family. I get that. Somebody's making some kind of a living, and I can't knock it too much, I guess. It's just a little disheartening, a little frustrating. I'd like to see better paying jobs. I'd like to see jobs, you know, like there were in the 70s and 80s, where, you know, when I grew up in Cleveland, guys worked at steel mills or worked for Ford or Chevy or whatever, you know, the auto plants, and they made a decent living wage. I mean, I knew guys who had their parents, their fathers were like janitors for the Ford company, making like $22 and $24 an hour back in like 1988, 1989. I mean, think about that if you were to multiply that out for inflation today. What's that, like $40 an hour? Anyways, here's another place, the Budget Motel. And that place is just infested with ladies of the night, I guess. Here's Titusville City Hall right across the street, where you pay your water bill and whatnot. And here's what's called the Prichard House, a historic house here in Titusville. And this is downtown. This is the main drag in Titusville. As you can see, there's not really much here. Really not much to see here. And I will show you guys. There is the park, one of the space themed park, Space View Park, where I interviewed Mandy and some of the other homeless. See, it's got a space theme to it. And I think there's a bust of John Kennedy at one of them. Just various things. My friend Kevin Panic, his name is on a nameplate back there. He's been working out at the Space Center for years. Anyway, and then I want to tell you guys about my hat here, the Fighting Edge. Love the Fighting Edge. Look, let me tell you about the Fighting Edge. I am a member of the Fighting Edge. I do not fight, however. I do not box, and I do not do MMA. I film some of the stuff, take some pictures for them, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, stuff that I can handle. And it's a 501c3 here in Titusville, trying to help the underserved youth here. Really good people. A guy named Willie Taylor is the founder of it. Willie is I can't say enough about Willie. Willie is a great guy. He is the kind of guy that everybody wants for a friend. When Willie says he's there for you, Willie means it. He is there for you. For instance, right now, my truck broke down. It's in the shop, and Willie was there for me, and Willie said, hey, I have a vehicle you can borrow. That's a friend. that's somebody, you know, who, you know, like I said, means what they say when they say they're there for you. And those are the kind of people that are involved at the fighting edge. And but also we have some guys that are convicted felons that are trying to get their lives back on track, and they're doing really wonderful things. Fighting edge is not just MMA and boxing. We don't just go to cage matches and box. We also do like back to school drives. We just had a back to school drive, and Willie was very successful getting some backpacks and crayons and so on for people. Just really proud to be part of the fighting edge. Really good people. Anyway, back to another subject here. You see this metal pole sticking out of the water here? Well, guess what's underneath that? A boat. That's right, a boat. And there are several boats in the water like this after the hurricane, and you'll see some more boats in the distance here. Look, obviously there's somebody here with money. Somebody's affording these boats. We do have a lot of people that live here part-time. You know, the snowbirds, people that live up north, say, you know, 7-8 months out of the year and come here just for the harsh, brutal winter months, you know. But so this is about it. This is Titusville. This is about all I can really show you. We have a little splash pad that was put in over there. I do a lot of my homeless in Titusville interviews here too at this park. This is about the only thing to really see here. I've shown you guys the main drag, the main things to see here. Like I said, it's known for the Kennedy Space Center. That's a big thing here in Titusville. Like I said, known as the Space Coast. And that's about it. We have a part of town up here coming up that's a little rough, off of Garden Street. We have a Blanton Park. Blanton Park is usually full of prostitutes and people that are passed out or are passing out from doing things like heroin and meth and God only knows what. And we have a little yacht club down there. Like I said, there again for some of the people that have money. I would not be included in that group. And we're going across Hopkins Avenue here. Like I said, this video here is primarily being done for Demon Rat. Demon Rat is a guy that I just absolutely love his comments on my show. He is a little bit of comic relief for me anyways. I find him funny. Some other people may find him a little abrasive. I like some abrasive humor. A really sarcastic person that I like from the past is a guy named Voltaire. Loved a book called Candide. I read Candide about 10 years ago. 9 or 10 years ago when I discovered Voltaire, and let me tell you, I am a huge fan. I bought everything that Voltaire ever put out and read it and just absolutely loved this guy. Love philosophy. Love another guy named Jean-Jacques Rousseau. And Jean-Jacques was a guy who Ben Franklin was a friend of his, and some of the other guys, founding fathers. He was somebody who was considered a radical back then, but a lot of his ideas we find in our Constitution about our social contract and whatnot. But and here's another place that's a little locally famous. It's called Dixie Crossroads. People will say if you want to come here for some mediocre seafood, stop by Dixie Crossroads. Personally, I think they're a little better than mediocre. I like them. But here's another low-income apartment complex here. We have a lot of these in Titusville, a whole lot. Also, the Titusville and or the northern Titusville, southern Mims area is known for a guy named Harry T. Moore. Harry T. Moore was a black guy who was helping register to vote young black people, or all black people really, in the 1940s and 50s. He was a guy before his time, and there's a book called Before His Time, and he really was before his time. Revolutionary. He helped these 4 or 6 guys that were accused of, I guess, whistling or looking at a white woman or something in Central Florida, that were looking at the death penalty, and you know, it's really awful stuff. Anyways, the Groveland Four, that's what they're called, the Groveland Four, and Harry T. Moore ended up losing his life on Christmas Day, I believe 1951. He was blown up. He and his wife were blown up, and he died, and then his wife, she survived him for about 8 to 10 days or something, and then she died. She went to his funeral by way of ambulance. The doctors didn't recommend that she go, and then she died from her injuries. And you know, so that's a good thing for Titusville to be known for, is Harry T. Moore, a guy who really made a difference in the lives of a lot of people and changed a lot of things. You know, you won't really find him in history books. He's not like Martin Luther King and all those other guys as far as like the publicity goes, but he is just as important, if not more important, than those guys. So anyways, I think we've taken enough time. I've circled around here. I've shown you guys around Titusville. You've seen some things. I've given my shout out to Demon Rat. Like I said, love your comments, guy. Wish you lived here. You'd make a great sidekick maybe. But this is it for this town. So until next time, I thank you guys for watching. And next time I'll be bringing you a homeless family, hopefully, that I ran into at Walmart right before I started this video. So but they weren't able to do the video at the time, so I'm doing this video, like I said, at the request of Demon Rat here for a while. Wanted to know about Titusville, and that's about all I have to say about that. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.